Hello friends, this video on Morphology of Flowering Plants Part 14 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. With this, I think I have covered the major basic parts of a leaf, that is lamina, petiole, leaf base and the stipules. So now let us look at the different types of leaves based on the different lamina shapes. So again, now you might be wondering, how important is it? How important is the shape of the lamina? I mean, what role does that play? Well, talking about the role which a shape plays, obviously the shape of a leaf helps in adapting to different types of environment. Like you have some plants with very thin cone-shaped leaves, which is good for the kind of environment where those plants are seen. So we really can't say that the shape of the lamina doesn't play any role at all. It definitely plays a role. So now here we will see what are the different lamina shapes which are seen in plants. So we will talk about two things. One is the margin of the lamina, that is the boundary of the lamina, and the second thing would be the tip of the lamina. So basically we will talk about these two things, margin of the lamina and tip of the lamina. Now when I talk about the margin of the lamina, that is this boundary, we have all these type of shapes. Entire, that means if you see the margin or the boundary, it is complete. There is no notches nowhere. So it is known as entire. The second one is wavy. So if you see the boundary, it is in the shape of a wave. So that is why it is called a wavy lamina. Notched lamina. So here you can see, again it is not neither entire nor it is wavy, but you can see you actually see this hook kind of a structure. So these notches are present. So this is called a notched lamina. Again, if I talk about the tip of a lamina, that is just this apex. So again we will see we have a variety of shapes. The first one is round. So the tip of the lamina, this is the tip of the lamina, right? The topmost portion. So the tip is round in shape. When we say acute, that means the tip is very pointed. What is acute? You would have studied about acute angle and obtuse angle in your geometry, right? So what is an acute angle? Any angle which is less than 90 degrees. Now if you look at the tip of this leaf, what do you think this angle would be? This angle is a small, it will be less. So this angle resembles acute angle, and that is why it is given the name of acute lamina. Obtuse lamina, that means this is not going to be very pointed. Even though here if you look at this angle looks quite large, right? So it resembles to some extent the obtuse angle, and that is why it is given the name of obtuse. So these are the different names which are given to the different shapes of the lamina depending upon the margin of the leaf and the tip of the leaf. So now whenever you see any plant, you can actually define, why do we give these names to different shapes of a leaf? Now let us suppose if I ask you to describe the leaf of a plant. Now there are so many varieties of plants which exist on this earth. So how will you be able to describe how distinct the leaf of one plant is from the other? So for that you need some terminologies, right? So now if you have terminologies like this, you can actually study or you can actually observe a plant and you can just tell that okay, this plant so and so have a wavy leaf and they have an obtuse leaf. That means, so somebody will very clearly understand that okay, that means the margin of the leaf is in the shape of the wave and the tip of the leaf is not very thin. It has an obtuse tip. So anybody who reads that statement will be able to visualize how that leaf looks like, right? So that's how the terminologies or introducing the terminologies help us to understand or observe things better. So these are the different shapes of lamina. Okay, so now we will talk about veins. While I was talking about lamina, I told you that veins and veinlets exist on the lamina. So now let us see what are veins and what function do they perform. Veins are the vascular tissues of leaves. So they are very, very important. So whenever I say vascular tissues, what are vascular tissues? Vascular tissues are nothing but our xylem and phloem. So veins are basically the vascular bundles which contain xylem and phloem. Talking about the function of veins, they help in transporting food, water and minerals. As I told you, I gave you a comparison, right, of the way arteries and veins are there in our body. Similarly, veins and veinlets are there on the leaf. So they actually help in transporting food, water and minerals to different parts of the leaf. Because once the food is absorbed, food in the sense, let us suppose whatever it is, food is prepared in the leaves itself. But I am saying water or nutrients or whatever comes to the leaf, that needs to be distributed equally to different corners of the leaf. So how will that internal distribution within the leaf take place? That distribution takes place with the help of these tube-like structures called veins and veinlets. They also provide rigidity to the leaf blade. Now if you see these veins, they are quite strong or quite rigid when compared to the other portion of the leaf. And in this portion of the, if you take a leaf, any leaf in your hand, you will see that it becomes very easy to tear the leaf from here. But it is not that easy to tear the leaf from the vein, because the veins are a little rigid. So you need to give a little more pressure to tear it from that portion, right? So had there been no veins or veinlets, the leaf blade would have not at all been rigid. It would have been very thin and very, like, it would have, even if a little bit of wind blows, it would have actually gone damaged. So these veins and veinlets also provide rigidity to the leaf blade. So again, as you see, both of them are very important functions which are performed by these veins. So now that we are talking about veins, it is very, very important that we talk about venation. Now see, when we are talking about leaf, we all know that the function of leaf, the basic function of leaf is to perform photosynthesis. But when we talk about leaf in detail, we are going to talk about the different shapes of leaves which are seen in plants. How do we define those shapes? And how are the veins arranged on a leaf? We are going to talk about the morphology. We are going to talk about the external appearance of the leaf from all aspects, right? Okay, so now that I was talking about the veins, we will talk about venation. What is venation? Here we will see how veins are organized or how veins are arranged on a leaf. We will see that there are many different types of arrangement of veins. In different plants or in different leaves, veins are arranged in different ways. So this will be interesting. So let us see what is venation. It is the arrangement of veins and veinlets in the lamina of leaf. Obviously veins are present on the leaf blade or the lamina. So how these veins are arranged, that we will study in venation. So there are some specific patterns in which the veins are arranged. So we will talk about the different types of venation. Now broadly there are two types of venation, that is reticulate venation and parallel venation. So these are the two broad classification of venation. So now we will see what is reticulate venation and what is parallel venation. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.